The mysterious encounter. The night sky above the alien world stretched wide and endless, stars burning like tiny fireflies scattered in the dark. Commander Ryan stood at the edge of a rocky cliff, looking out at the strange valley below. His team had landed on this planet only a few hours ago, but already he could feel it. Something was different here. The air was calm, but too calm. Not a single sound of life came from the trees or the rivers that cut across the land. Even the wind seemed to move slowly, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. The silence pressed against the humans, heavy and unsettling. Ryan's second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris, shifted uneasily. "Sir, I don't like this place," he muttered, his hand resting on his rifle. "It feels like we're being watched." Ryan didn't answer right away. He scanned the dark tree line, his eyes sharp and searching. The mission was supposed to be simple: explore, collect samples, and map the terrain, but Ryan had been in space long enough to know when something was off. His gut told him they weren't alone. The crew moved cautiously through the valley, lights from their helmets casting long shadows across the alien grass. The ground glowed faintly under their boots, each step leaving a soft blue shimmer. It was beautiful, yes, but too perfect, too untouched. Ryan could feel a presence, something hiding just out of sight. It happened. From the corner of his vision, Ryan caught movement. A flicker of light, softer than a flame, but brighter than the stars above. He froze, lifting a hand for the others to stop. The entire team went silent, their breaths loud in the quiet night. The glow moved again, weaving between the trees like a ghost. It was graceful, flowing, almost alive. Ryan's heart pounded. He had seen strange things before, but nothing like this. This was not just an animal. It felt intentional. Slowly, the glow grew brighter. And then, out from the shadows, she appeared. The alien woman. She stepped into the clearing without fear. Her skin shimmered faintly, as if her body carried the light of the stars. Her eyes were large, glowing silver, and filled with something Ryan had never seen in any alien before. Curiosity. She tilted her head slightly, watching the humans, not with hatred, not with fear, but with wonder. The crew gasped softly. Harris raised his weapon, but Ryan held up a hand to stop him. "Wait," Ryan whispered. "She's not attacking." The alien woman stood perfectly still. Her gaze moved from face to face, but always returned to Ryan. She seemed drawn to him, studying the way he stood, the way his team moved together. Her expression changed, not hostile, not cold, but almost fascinated. Ryan took a careful step forward. His boots crunched against the glowing grass. The alien woman's eyes widened, but she did not move away. She watched every motion, as if memorizing it. The silence was heavy again, but this time it was not frightening. It was electric. A tension filled the air, like the moment before lightning strikes. Ryan slowly extended his hand, his palm open, fingers relaxed. He remembered the first lessons of contact missions. No sudden moves, show no aggression, offer peace. It had worked with other species before, but this time felt different, more personal. The alien woman's gaze dropped to his hand. For a long moment, she did not move. The humans held their breath. Harris whispered a curse under his breath, ready for danger. But Ryan stood calm, his hand steady. Finally, she moved. Her steps were silent, each one light, as if she were floating. She stopped just an arm's length away. Her glowing eyes flicked back up to his face, searching. Then, slowly, carefully, she lifted her own hand. Her fingers were long, elegant, tipped with a faint silver glow. When her skin touched his, Ryan felt a shock rush through him. It was not pain, not heat, but something deeper, a warmth that spread through his chest, something alive, something human. Her eyes widened in awe. Her lips parted slightly, as if she had discovered something impossible. She pressed her hand against his more firmly, holding it there. For the first time since landing on this silent world, Ryan saw her expression change. Not curiosity, but wonder. Behind him, the crew whispered in disbelief. Some were scared, some amazed. But Ryan knew one thing for sure. This was no ordinary meeting. This was the beginning of something much greater. The alien woman did not speak. but her eyes told a story, a hunger for understanding, a desire for something she had never known before. Ryan could feel it, the way she studied him, the way she lingered on the warmth of his touch. It was as if she had just discovered the very secret of life itself. And in that moment, Ryan realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. This alien woman wasn't just curious about humanity. She wanted to experience it. First contact. The clearing held its breath. Ryan's hand was still against hers, the faint glow of her skin dancing across his glove. It was a moment so small, but it felt like the universe itself had paused to watch. The alien woman tilted her head, her silver eyes never leaving his face. She moved her fingers gently, tracing the lines of his palm. Her expression was one of wonder, like a child discovering sunlight for the very first time. Harris shifted uneasily. "Sir, we should step back," he whispered, but Ryan shook his head. His instincts told him this was no trap, no ambush. This was different. The alien woman pulled her hand back slightly. Her glow dimmed for just a second, almost as if she feared the connection would end. Then she took a careful step forward, closing the space between them. Her gaze flicked toward the other humans, then back to Ryan. She touched her own chest, then slowly pointed at him. Ryan's heart skipped. A gesture, a question, a name. He lifted his hand again, pressed it to his chest. "Ryan," he said softly, his voice steady. He pointed at her, waiting. For a moment, there was only silence. Her lips parted. A sound formed, soft, broken, like a whisper carried by the wind. "Rayon." She repeated slowly, her voice strange, melodic, but clear enough to carry the shape of his name. The crew froze, disbelief painted on their faces. An alien speaking a human name. Ryan gave a small nod, encouraging her. She tried again, stronger this time. "Ryan." A ripple of awe went through the team. This was no ordinary encounter. This was communication. Ryan took another step closer, careful, deliberate. He touched his chest again. "Human," he said clearly. He motioned to the others. "Human." Then he pointed at her, waiting. She blinked, tilting her head for a moment. There was hesitation. Then, softly, she whispered a word. Her voice was like music, a tone that seemed to vibrate in the air itself. "Elora." Ryan repeated it. "Elora." The name felt strange, yet beautiful. It seemed to please her. Her eyes softened, glowing brighter for a moment. The bond deepened. Elora reached out again, this time not to his hand, but to his face. Her touch was light, feather soft. Her fingers brushed his cheek as though she wanted to understand not just his skin, but the very meaning behind it. Ryan held perfectly still, his heart raced, but he did not move. She studied every detail. The warmth of his skin, the way his eyes blinked, the way breath left his lips in small clouds of air. To her, even these tiny things seemed like wonders. The other humans watched in silence. Some whispered nervously. Others stared in fascination, but none dared interrupt. Elora pulled her hand away, only to mimic him. She pressed her palm to her chest again, but this time her voice was firmer. "Human," she said. Her silver eyes shone with determination. She then shook her head slowly. "No." "Human." She pointed at herself, then at him again, her voice soft, longing, want. "Human." Ryan's stomach tightened. He understood. Not fully, but enough. She did not only want to know what humans were, she wanted to become one. The crew exchanged confused looks. Harris whispered, "This is insane. She can't. She doesn't even understand what that means." But Ryan wasn't so sure. The way Elora looked at them, the way she repeated their words, the way she held onto that touch. It wasn't random curiosity, it was desire. Elora stepped back slightly. As if to make a point, she studied the humans as they stood close together. She watched when one of them touched another's shoulder in reassurance. She mimicked the motion awkwardly, placing her glowing hand gently on Ryan's shoulder. It was clumsy, uncertain, but filled with intent. Her silver eyes softened. Her lips formed a small curve, almost like a smile. For a moment, she looked less like an alien visitor and more like a lost soul finally finding warmth. Ryan's chest tightened. This was more than first contact. This was the birth of something new, something fragile, something dangerous, but something extraordinary. Above them, the alien sky stretched wide, stars burning cold and silent. Yet in that clearing, in the glow of Ellora's skin and the warmth of her touch, it felt as if humanity had just opened a door to a story that would change them forever. And Ryan, standing at the edge of that discovery, knew one truth with absolute certainty. This was not just an encounter with another species. This was the first step of Ellora's journey to become human. Curiosity awakens. The days that followed were unlike anything Ryan or his crew had expected. Ellora did not return to the shadows, nor did she vanish like a ghost. Instead, she stayed close, watching every detail of the humans with eyes that glowed like silver moons. At first, she kept a small distance, never far, never near. She moved silently, as if the ground itself welcomed her steps. Her attention was sharp, her gaze following even the smallest actions. When a human lifted a tool, she tilted her head and studied the way his fingers wrapped around it. When two crew members spoke, she leaned closer, trying to catch the rhythm of their voices. But what fascinated her most was not the machines, not the weapons, not the strange technology the humans carried. It was the way they touched each other. When Harris clapped another soldier on the back, Ellora's eyes widened. When a tired crew member sat by the fire and Ryan placed a hand on his shoulder in comfort, Ellora stared with intensity. Her glowing fingers twitched, as if she longed to mimic the motion. On the third night, as the humans ate their rations by the dim glow of their campfire, Ellora took her first step into their circle. She crouched low, her glowing skin casting a pale light across the group. Her eyes locked on the small packet of food in Ryan's hands. Ryan noticed her. He held the packet out slowly. "Food," he said clearly. Ellora tilted her head, repeating softly, "Food." Her voice was unsure, but curious. She reached forward, touched the packet, and pulled back quickly as if expecting it to burn. The crew chuckled, but Ryan kept his face calm, patient. He opened the pack and handed her a piece. Ellora held it between her glowing fingers, sniffed it, studied it, then cautiously placed it on her tongue. For a moment, her eyes went wide. A faint sound left her lips, not quite a word. More like surprise made into music. She chewed slowly, then gave the smallest nod, her first human meal. The crew exchanged glances, some smiling, others shaking their heads in disbelief. An alien woman eating their food, sitting at their fire. It felt impossible, yet here she was. The next morning, she tried something else when Ryan and Harris shook hands to seal a small decision about their route. Ellora watched closely. Her silver eyes followed every movement. She stepped forward, lifted her glowing hand, and pressed it awkwardly into Ryan's. Her grip was clumsy, too tight, then too loose, but she looked up at him with pride, repeating softly, "Human touch." The crew laughed gently, but not cruelly. Some even clapped their hands in encouragement. Ellora tilted her head, confused at first, then mimicked them. Her glowing hands came together in a strange, uneven clap. The sound was odd, almost hollow, but her face lit up with joy as if she had unlocked a secret. It became clear to Ryan that Ellora was not just curious. She was learning. She was copying their movements, their voices, their habits, not with perfect skill, but with a deep hunger, a hunger to belong. One evening, while the crew sat telling short stories to pass the time, Ellora leaned close. Her silver eyes darted from speaker to speaker. She listened to every laugh, every pause. Then she tried to join. She opened her mouth and let out a sound that was somewhere between laughter and a broken song. The crew stared, then burst into real laughter. Ellora blinked in confusion, then tried again. This time her sound was softer, closer to a giggle. She pointed at herself and said proudly, "Human, laugh." The moment was strange, almost comical, but also deeply moving. For the first time, the humans did not see her as an outsider, but as someone trying to step into their world. Ryan watched her quietly. His chest tightened as he realized what he was witnessing. Ellora was not pretending. She was not studying them like a scientist. She was yearning. Every smile she copied, every touch she imitated, was her way of reaching across the gulf between alien and human. One night, as the fire crackled low and the crew drifted into sleep, Elora sat near Ryan. She pressed her glowing hand against her chest, her voice soft but steady. Want life, human life. Her silver eyes searched his, full of determination. Ryan felt the weight of her words settle deep inside him. She was not asking for knowledge, not asking for technology. She was asking for something far more fragile, far more dangerous. She wanted the one thing her world could not give her: the messy, beautiful, painful, living experience of being human. Ryan stared into the fire, his heart heavy. He knew what such a desire could mean for her, for his crew, for the world she had left behind. But he also knew this: Elora's journey had only just begun. The confession. The campfire burned low, its soft glow casting shadows across the silent valley. Most of the crew had drifted into sleep, their tired bodies wrapped in thin blankets. Only Ryan remained awake, sitting close to the fire, his eyes lost in the flames. He thought she had left, slipped back into the forest as she sometimes did. But when he looked up, she was there. Elora, the alien woman, sat across from him, her glowing skin dimmed, her silver eyes calm but heavy, as if holding secrets too heavy for one soul. For a long while, neither spoke. The fire cracked, the wind whispered through the strange grass. And then, softly, Elora pressed her glowing hand against her chest, her voice fragile. Elora, won't speak. Ryan leaned forward slightly, his heart tightened. He had seen her mimic, he had seen her laugh, but this felt different. Her tone was not playful, not curious. It was heavy, weighted with meaning. She looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the firelight. My world, no touch, no laugh, no warm. She paused, searching for the words. Her hands moved in the air, trying to shape the meaning she could not fully speak. All mind, all think, no feel. Ryan's breath caught. He realized what she was saying. Her people were brilliant, advanced, but empty, a race that lived without emotion, without comfort. They had built a life of silence, knowledge without joy. Her voice trembled as she continued. I see human. I see fire. Hand smile. She touched her chest again, her glowing fingers pressing hard as if to show pain. Inside, empty, cold. I want more. Ryan's chest ached. He understood now. She had not followed them out of curiosity alone. She had followed them out of hunger, not for food, but for something deeper, for connection. Elora leaned closer, her eyes shining brighter. First touch with Ryan, she whispered. Her voice carried the memory of that moment. Her hand against his. I feel alive. I feel real. She lifted her glowing hand slowly, hovering it above his. Want again, want always. Ryan swallowed hard. His throat felt tight. He could hear her truth in every broken word. She was not playing with him. She was confessing something that could change her entire existence. Elora's gaze dropped to the fire. Her voice became soft, almost childlike. My people say feeling is weakness. They say no need of touch, no need of life. Her silver eyes lifted again, fierce now. But I see human strong, human cry, human love. That is not weakness, that is life. The words struck Ryan like thunder, simple, broken, but powerful. Elora, an alien born among the stars, had looked into humanity and found the very thing many humans forgot: that their strength was not in machines, not in weapons, but in the fragile connections they shared. Ryan wanted to answer, but words failed him. He only nodded slowly. Elora studied his face, then reached across the fire. Her glowing fingers touched his hand again, soft, trembling. Ryan, help me, she whispered. Teach me, live like human. The fire crackled between them. The night stretched long and silent. Ryan could hear the slow breathing of his crew behind him. He knew if they woke and heard this, some would be afraid, some would call her dangerous. But Ryan felt no danger. He felt a truth deeper than fear. Elora's confession was not only about curiosity. It was about rebellion. She was turning away from everything her kind had built, choosing instead the uncertain path of humanity. Her silver eyes shimmered with something close to tears, though no tear fell. "I cannot go back," she whispered. "I choose here. I choose life." Ryan leaned back, staring at her. The weight of her words pressed on him. She was asking not just for guidance, but for a place among them, a place in a world she could never fully belong to. He realized the danger. Her people would not allow this. They would come. They would fight to keep her from walking the human path. But Ryan also realized something else. If Elora was brave enough to confess this truth, then he had to be brave enough to listen. The fire flickered, casting her face in warm light. For the first time, she looked less like an alien and more like a lost traveler, searching for home. And Ryan knew, in that quiet moment, that her journey was no longer just hers. It was now tied to his. Conflict and choice. The next day began in silence. The crew moved through the valley with care, but there was a weight pressing on every step. Ryan could feel it in the air, a strange pressure that made the hairs on his neck stand tall. Elora walked close, her silver eyes alert. Her glowing skin dimmed as if she sensed danger too. By noon, the sky above them darkened, not with clouds, but with shapes, long shadows drifting across the ground. Ryan's hand went to his weapon. The crew froze. Elora's face grew pale. She whispered a single word, her voice filled with dread. "My people." From the sky, 3 figures descended, their forms tall, elegant, and glowing brighter than Elora. Their movements were flawless, like beings carved from pure light. They landed without sound, their eyes silver and cold. The leader stepped forward, his voice calm but sharp. "Elora," he said. His words were clear, his tone heavy with authority. "We do not belong with them. You will return." Elora shook her head slowly. Her glowing hands tightened into fists. "No," she whispered, her voice small but firm. "I choose." The alien leader's eyes narrowed. "Choose," he repeated, as if the word itself was poison. "You cannot choose weakness. You cannot lower yourself to live like them." His silver eyes turned to Ryan, full of silent warning. "Human, release her. She is ours." The crew raised their weapons. Harris stepped forward, his voice sharp. "With respect, sir, we don't take orders from glowing strangers." But Ryan lifted his hand, signaling them to wait. His eyes stayed on Elora. Her body trembled, but her voice was steady. "My people." No, only silence, no touch, no warm. "I see human. I see life." She pressed her hand to her chest, her silver eyes burning. "I choose life." The leader's glow brightened, anger spilling like fire. "You are blind, Elora," he hissed. "They will break you. They will burn you. You are not one of them." Ryan stepped between them, his voice strong, calm. "She may not be human, but the choice is hers, not yours." His words carried across the clearing, each syllable sharp, each one a line he refused to cross. The 2 alien guards shifted, their hands glowing with strange energy. The crew tightened their grips on their rifles. The air became heavy, thick with the promise of violence. One wrong move and fire would rain across the valley. Elora's eyes darted between Ryan and her people. She could feel the pull. Her entire life had been with them, their cold world, their silent rules. But here, standing with Ryan, standing with humans, she felt warm for the first time. Her voice shook, but she forced the words out. "I am Elora, not yours, not silence. I choose human life." The leader's glow dimmed, not with weakness, but with rage. His voice cut sharp. "Then you are exile, no longer one of us. You are nothing." The words struck like a blade. Elora's body flinched, but she did not step back. Instead, she lifted her chin, her silver eyes steady. "Then nothing is more than silence," she whispered. The guards tensed, ready to strike. Ryan raised his weapon. The crew followed for a heartbeat. Time itself seemed to stop. The fire crackled. The wind held still. The valley waited for the first move. But then the leader raised his hand, stopping his guards. His cold silver eyes locked on Elora. "You have chosen your death," he said flatly. His glow flared once more. Then he and his guards vanished into light, disappearing into the sky as quickly as they had come. The silence returned, heavy and sharp. The crew lowered their weapons slowly. Harris muttered, "Well, that went better than expected." But Ryan's face stayed grim. He knew this was not the end. They would return stronger. Elora stood still, her hands shaking. Her glow flickered weakly. Ryan stepped closer, placing his hand gently on her shoulder. She looked up at him, her silver eyes wet with something close to tears. "They cast me away," she whispered. "I have no world now." Ryan shook his head softly. "You have a choice, Elora, and you chose us." His hand squeezed her shoulder lightly. "You're not alone." Her silver eyes studied him, searching. Then, slowly, she placed her glowing hand over his, her voice trembling but clear. "Then, I am human now." Ryan felt the weight of her words settle deep inside. He knew it wasn't that simple. She could never truly be human. The road ahead would be filled with danger, fear, and sacrifice. But he also knew this. Elora had chosen with her heart, and that made her more human than many he had met. The fire in her eyes told him something else, too. She was ready to fight for that choice, ready to face the storm that was coming. And Ryan, standing beside her, knew he would fight too. The leap of faith. The valley had returned to silence, but it was not peace. It was the silence of a storm waiting to break. The crew moved quickly, checking weapons, scanning the skies. Ryan kept his hand close to his rifle, his eyes on Elora. She walked with them, but her glow was faint, her steps heavier than before. She had chosen them, chosen humanity, but choice had a price, and Ryan knew her people would not let it go so easily. By nightfall, the crew set camp near a ridge. The fire burned low, throwing dim light on their tired faces. Harris muttered, "They'll be back." His voice was bitter. "And next time, they won't just talk." Ryan nodded silently. His gut told him Harris was right. Elora sat close to the fire, her silver eyes fixed on the flames. Her glowing fingers trembled slightly. She whispered, almost to herself, "They will come." The words had barely left her lips when the ground trembled. A deep hum filled the air, sharp and rising. The crew jumped to their feet, weapons raised. The night sky tore open with blinding light, and from above, figures descended. Not 3 this time, but many. Their bodies glowed like silver fire. Their eyes burned with cold judgment. They circled the humans like wolves, trapping them against the ridge. The leader from before stepped forward, his voice sharp as a blade. "This ends now." Ryan raised his weapon. The crew formed a line, but he knew, in his heart, they were outmatched. These beings were faster, stronger, their power unmatched. Then, everything happened at once. One of the alien guards raised his hand. Energy crackled like lightning. He hurled it toward Ryan. The blast lit up the night. Ryan had no time to move. But Elora did. She leapt forward, her glowing body colliding with the energy. The blast hit her full force, throwing her back across the ground. Ryan shouted her name, his heart slamming his chest. He dropped her aside, the crew firing wildly to push back the attackers. Elora's glow flickered weakly, her silver eyes dimmed, but she managed to lift her head. Her voice was strained, trembling. "No. Hurt, Ryan." The alien leader's face twisted with fury. "You betray your own kind for them?" he thundered. "You would throw away eternity for their weakness?" Elora coughed, her body shaking, but her eyes never wavered. She pushed herself up, staggering. Her voice rose, broken but fierce. "Not weakness, life." She spread her arms wide, placing herself between the humans and her people. Her glow flared bright, brighter than before. Her silver eyes burned with fire. "If you want them, you must go through me." For a moment, the enemy faltered. Even their leader hesitated. The crew stared in shock. Harris whispered, "She's protecting us against her own kind." Ryan felt something burn in his chest. Not just fear, not just gratitude, but something deeper. Elora had made her choice with words before, but now she made it with her life. The aliens advanced again, but Elora raised her hands. Her body glowed so fiercely it hurt to look at. Energy rippled from her, not an attack, but a shield, a wall of light that shimmered around the humans. The enemy blast struck it, sparks flying, but Elora held firm, every strike driving her to her knees. Ryan rushed to her side, grabbing her arm. Elora, stop, it's killing you, but she shook her head violently. No. Ryan, live, she gasped, human live. The crew fired back, their weapons tearing through the chaos. Harris shouted commands, but all eyes kept flicking to Elora, holding the impossible barrier with her fragile body. Her people's leader glared, his voice cold with fury. You are lost, Elora. You are no longer one of us. He raised his hand for a final strike, but Elora met his gaze, her silver eyes burning. I know, she whispered. I am human now. With a final surge, her glow exploded outward. A wave of light burst across the valley. The enemy was thrown back, their forms flickering before vanishing into the night sky. The hum faded, the ground stilled, silence returned. Ryan caught Elora as she fell. Her glow flickered weakly, almost gone. Her voice was soft, fragile. Ryan, did I choose right? His throat tightened. He looked at her, at the alien woman who had given everything. He whispered, Yes, Elora. You chose life. You chose us. Her silver eyes closed slowly. A faint smile touched her lips, and though her glow dimmed, there was peace in her face. The crew stood in silence, the fire crackling weakly behind them. The night sky stretched endless above, and Ryan, holding Elora in his arms, knew this was no longer just about survival. It was about honoring the leap she had taken, a leap of faith into humanity, a new beginning. The valley lay quiet after the storm. The stars above burned brighter than before, as if the sky itself had witnessed what had just happened. The crew stood in silence, their weapons lowered, their breaths heavy. Ryan knelt on the ground, Elora's faintly glowing body resting in his arms. Her light was weak, her silver eyes closed. For a terrifying moment, Ryan thought she was gone. His heart clenched, his voice broke as he whispered her name, Elora. Then, slowly, her fingers twitched, her hand lifted weakly, glowing faintly as it pressed against his chest. Her lips moved, her voice a whisper, still here. Relief washed over Ryan. He exhaled hard, his head bowing as he fought to keep his composure. Around him, the crew let out small gasps of hope. Harris muttered under his breath, Damn, she's tougher than all of us. Elora's glow flickered uncertainly, but her silver eyes opened again, dim yet filled with determination. She whispered broken words, I fight, for life, for human, for us. Ryan held her hand tightly, his voice steady now. You're one of us, Elora, no matter what your people say. The crew gathered closer, the firelight reflecting on their weary faces. None of them spoke, but in their eyes Ryan could see it. Acceptance. They no longer saw Elora as an outsider. They saw her as part of them. For the next 2 days, they nursed her back to strength. They taught her simple things, how to eat their food properly, how to wrap herself in a blanket against the cold night. She listened with bright eyes, repeating words carefully. Sometimes she stumbled, sometimes she laughed in her strange, broken way. And every time, the crew laughed with her, not at her. One evening, as the fire cracked low, Ryan found Elora staring up at the sky, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. So many worlds, she whispered softly. But I want only one, I want Earth. Her words hit Ryan deeply. He realized then that her journey was only beginning. Leaving her people was only the first step. Learning to live among humans, to be accepted, to understand love and pain. That would be harder, far more dangerous. But Elora did not seem afraid. Instead, she seemed eager, like someone standing before a new dawn. That night, she stood by the fire, her glow stronger than before. She looked at each crew member in turn, her broken voice steady. Thank you for giving me life. The silence that followed was heavy, not awkward but powerful. Harris finally cleared his throat, muttering, Well, if she wants to be human, she'll have to learn cards and lose to me first. The crew laughed softly, the tension breaking. Elora tilted her head in confusion, then tried to mimic their laughter. The sound was strange, musical, but carried joy, and it warmed every heart. Ryan watched her carefully, his thoughts heavy but filled with a spark of hope. Elora was not just an alien who wanted to be human. She was proof of something greater. Humanity's strength was not its weapons or machines. It was the power to inspire others, to turn emptiness into meaning, silence into song. As the ship prepared to leave the valley, Elora stood at the ramp, staring back at the land where she had chosen her fate. Her silver eyes shimmered, but she did not look back with regret, only with resolve. Ryan came to stand beside her. "Are you ready?" he asked quietly. Elora looked at him, her glowing hand reaching for his. Her voice was soft but clear, ready for human life. He squeezed her hand gently. Together they stepped into the ship. As the engines roared and the stars stretched around them, Ryan glanced at her one last time. She sat among his crew, wrapped in a blanket, her silver eyes wide with wonder at every sound, every touch, every small detail of human life. And in that moment, Ryan knew something for certain. Elora's journey had only just begun. The galaxy was vast. Her people would not forget her betrayal. But none of that mattered now, because Elora had taken the leap, and with every heartbeat, every smile, every touch, she was becoming what she had always dreamed: human.